Hey guys, welcome to my amazing channel. Today, we'll dive into another interesting and popular Nigerian movie brought to you by ONYII Alex TV. Stay tuned and don't miss all the fun, twists, and turns. The story highlights betrayal as a woman who sacrificed everything for her man is abandoned the moment he starts making money. The movie begins with Nengi waking up in a disorganized room, hinting at a wild night of drinking and smoking. As she prepares to leave for work, her boyfriend Collins approaches her, showering her with compliments. They share a kiss, and Collins makes her promise to reject any advances from other men, telling her to show them her tattoo with his name on it. Nengi reminds him she's heading to work and leaves. While waiting for her client, Nengi calls to confirm their meeting. When the client arrives, she realizes it's someone she knows, Dora. They warmly greet each other with hugs. Dora takes Nengi to her house, which leaves Nengi in awe of its beauty. Curious, Nengi asks if Dora lives alone, and Dora responds that she usually does. Dora is surprised to learn Nengi is now working in interior design after graduating, while Dora herself manages several businesses. Nengi can't stop marveling at the house. Later, Collins is seen struggling to write music. Frustrated, he thinks his lyrics are terrible. Nengi walks in and encourages him not to give up. Collins appreciates her support, telling her it means everything to him. The next morning, as Nengi gets ready for work, Collins asks her for money to get to the studio again. When Nengi questions him about the last money she gave him, he says it's all gone. She reluctantly gives him more and heads to work. That evening, Collins' friend brings him home and advises him to quit music and find a stable job. Collins refuses, saying he's fine as long as Nengi supports him. His friend acknowledges how lucky he is to have her. The story takes a turn when Nengi discovers she's pregnant. Both she and Collins are upset. Collins insists on an abortion, saying he can't afford a baby, but Nengi hesitates, pointing out that this would be her second abortion in 3 months. She pleads to keep the baby, but Collins refuses. Reluctantly, Nengi agrees, but warns him that this will be the last time. The next day, Collins visits Nengi at work to borrow her house key as he misplaced his own. He also asks for more money for transport. Nengi gives him part of what she has before returning to work. On his way, he runs into Dora, who seems intrigued by him and can't stop staring. Later, Nengi invites Dora to her house, mentioning that Collins isn't home. Dora questions why Nengi lives with a man who doesn't contribute financially. Nengi explains that Collins is an artist, but Dora criticizes her for supporting a jobless man. Nengi changes the subject and excuses herself to get water. The next day, Collins tells Nengi he has a new song that will be a hit, but he needs money to produce it. Nengi hesitates as their savings are meant for rent. Collins begs her, promising to replace the money. Nengi insists on hearing the song first. After listening, she agrees to help, finding the song impressive. Desperate for funds, Nengi visits Dora at her office to ask for an advance payment. Dora reminds her that the job isn't complete, but Nengi pleads. Out of goodwill, Dora agrees, saying she's only doing it because they're old friends. Nengi gives the money to Collins, warning him that their savings are on the line. Collins assures her the song will be a success. Relieved, they share a smile. In another scene, Collins is at a restaurant with his friend Kunle. Kunle notices a woman staring at Collins and points it out. The woman turns out to be Dora, but Collins dismisses it, saying he's focused on his career. Back at Dora's house, she shares the story with Nengi, mentioning the man she saw at the restaurant. Nengi smiles, teasing Dora about her attraction to younger men, but jokingly says she won't judge since her own boyfriend, Collins, is the same. They both laugh, calling themselves the best. The next day, Nengi's landlord visited again, asking for the overdue rent. Nengi begged him for more time, promising to pay soon. The landlord agreed reluctantly, mentioning that her timely payments in the past were the only reason he was being patient. After he left, Nengi told Collins that it was time for him to find a job. Collins admitted he didn't expect his music to fail, but Nengi insisted it was time to take responsibility. Collins agreed to start job hunting. Desperate, Nengi called Chief to ask for a loan. Chief implied he would only help if she agreed to certain favors, but Nengi refused, saying she couldn't do what he was asking. As she ended the call, Collins appeared behind her, startling her. He told her he was ready to search for a job, but admitted he wasn't confident since it had been a long time since his last interview. Nengi encouraged him and wished him luck. At Dora's place, Nengi asked her for a loan. Dora questioned what her boyfriend was doing to help their situation, criticizing Nengi for staying with a man who couldn't take care of her. Nengi confessed that she wasn't perfect either, admitting she once cheated on Collins while he was sick to get money. Dora agreed to loan her the money for rent and even offered Collins a job. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Nengi thanked her for being such a supportive friend. Collins returned home dejected, complaining about his failed job interviews, as all the employers asked for work experience he didn't have. Nengi reassured him, telling him about Dora's willingness to help with both a loan and a job opportunity. Collins expressed hesitation, uneasy about accepting help from her friend, but Nengi encouraged him, saying everything would be fine. They shared a romantic evening together. The next day, Nengi took Collins to Dora's company and introduced him. Dora was surprised to see that Collins was the same man she had been attracted to for a while. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, Dora escorted Collins to the HR office. Later, when Collins returned home, he shared the exciting news about his new job and how good the salary was. He assured Nengi that their lives were about to change, and they celebrated the good news together. At work the following day, Collins submitted a report to Dora. She was impressed, but cautioned him not to rush things to avoid mistakes. He assured her he had done a good job, and she praised his work. Before leaving, Collins complimented her outfit, reigniting Dora's feelings for him. Meanwhile, Collins also started to see Dora in a new light. At home, Collins began criticizing Nengi's tomboyish dressing style, suggesting she wear wigs and more feminine clothes. When they were about to leave the house, Collins received a call and hurried off, claiming Kunli's mother had an accident. He left without Nengi. Later, when Kunli saw Collins, he asked why Nengi wasn't with him. Collins said he didn't like the way she dressed and compared her unfavorably to Dora. Kunli advised him to invest in Nengi's appearance if he wanted her to look a certain way instead of criticizing her, but Collins dismissed the idea, saying he didn't have the money for that. The next day, Collins invited Dora to dinner. Dora hesitated, concerned about how Nengi would feel, but after some thought, she invited Collins to her place for dinner instead. While there, Collins was making jollof rice when Dora came downstairs and asked him to join her upstairs. Meanwhile, back home, Nengi was worried because Collins hadn't returned. She called Kunli, who said he didn't know where Collins was, and she also tried calling Dora, but Dora didn't answer. Nengi stayed up all night, waiting for Collins. He finally returned the next morning, lying that his boss had sent him and a colleague on an urgent trip to Lagos and that his phone had died. Nengi, relieved, expressed her worry, and they hugged. Collins handed her some clothes to wash and prepared to leave again. When Nengi asked why he was going out on a weekend, he brushed her off and left. Feeling neglected, Nengi went to Dora to share her concerns. She confided that Collins had changed and they no longer spent time together. Dora reassured her that it was normal for hard-working men to act that way and promised to help Nengi find a job. Collins continued to show his true colors. When Nengi asked for money to buy groceries, he started an argument, claiming he hadn't been paid yet, a lie. He told her to sort herself out, leaving her in tears. Meanwhile, at work, Collins and Dora shared a kiss and talked about taking a vacation together. A staff member walked in on them, but they quickly composed themselves. At home, Collins packed his bags, announcing he was leaving for 5 days. Nengi begged him for some money to sustain herself while he was gone. He reluctantly gave her $1,000, which she accepted, saying she'd manage. Collins left without even a kiss goodbye, leaving Nengi crying alone. While Collins was with Dora, Nengi received a visit from Kunli. Embarrassed, she hid her meal of soaked gari. During their conversation, Kunli realized she was struggling and gave her $10,000. Nengi was deeply touched, even crying, and asked Kunle for help finding a job. Kunle promised to assist. At Dora's place, Collins told her he wanted to break up with Nengi so they could be together fully. Dora was initially hesitant, but eventually agreed. When Collins returned home after 9 days, he treated Nengi poorly. She confronted him, asking why he had been acting so cruelly. She revealed she had seen his account balance, which showed over 400,000, yet he had left her with just 1,000. Instead of apologizing, Collins became angry, accusing her of invading his privacy. He took his phone, said he would change his password, and stormed out. Dora, on the other hand, kept advising Nengi to leave Collins, insisting he didn't deserve her. Kunle visited Collins and learned about Collins' affair with his boss, Dora. He confronted Collins, saying it was wrong to betray Nengi, who stood by him when he had nothing. Kunle reminded him that Nengi is a good woman and didn't deserve to be treated this way. However, Collins dismissed Kunle's concerns, claiming Nengi was no longer his type. Later, Nengi entered the room and thanked Kunle for helping her previously. As soon as she left, Collins questioned Kunle about their conversation. Kunle mentioned that he intended to help Nengi find a job. Collins mocked the idea, cruelly calling her a tout. Unbeknownst to him, Nengi overheard the entire conversation. She felt deeply betrayed, and even Kunle was disheartened by Collins' attitude. The next day, Collins hurriedly left home, claiming he was going to meet Kunle. Suspicious, Nengi followed him and traced him to Dora's house. When Nengi called Dora, she lied, saying she wasn't home. Determined, Nengi entered the house and found Collins and Dora kissing. Heartbroken, she confronted them. Dora retaliated by revealing a personal secret Nengi had confided in her, that Nengi had once slept with another man to pay for Collins' hospital bills. Instead of being remorseful, Collins lashed out at Nengi, accusing her of not dressing properly, smoking, and being the reason he cheated. Nengi defended herself, saying she adopted those habits to please him, but Collins coldly declared their relationship over. He packed his things and moved in with Dora. Devastated, Nengi turned to alcohol to cope with the breakup. Kunle secured a job interview for her, but she didn't seem to care. She answered his call in a drunken state, while Collins was seen preparing breakfast in bed for Dora. Kunle continued to support Nengi, encouraging her to focus on herself and rebuild her life. When she questioned his kindness, Kunle assured her it was because she deserved better and urged her to attend the interview to turn her life around. To cheer her up, Kunle took Nengi shopping and gave her some money to manage herself. Nengi thanked him for always being there, and Kunle reassured her that she was a good person who deserved happiness. He reminded her to prepare for her interview. Meanwhile, at Dora's house, Collins began to feel unwelcome. Dora felt he was becoming entitled, which annoyed her because she funded everything. This shift in dynamics surprised Collins. Nengi finally decided to attend her job interview, looking stunning in her outfit. On the same day, Dora was preparing for an event and made it clear to Collins that he couldn't accompany her, saying his presence might be embarrassing. Hurt, Collins asked if she was ashamed of him, but Dora brushed him off and left. Kunle remained a constant source of support for Nengi, taking her out and boosting her confidence. Weeks later, at Dora's office, her husband called to inform her he was returning from the airport. Panicking, Dora searched for her wedding ring and instructed the gateman to pack Collins' belongings and bar him from entering. The gateman warned Collins that Dora's husband was a military man and advised him to leave immediately. Left with no choice, Collins packed his things and left. The next day, Dora fired Collins from her company. He confronted her, asking why she would take away his job after everything they shared. Dora retorted that he had left a good relationship for a fleeting affair and that they were both equally selfish. Collins left angrily, declaring that karma would catch up with her. With nowhere else to turn, Collins returned to Nengi, only to find her completely transformed. He begged her to take him back, admitting he had made mistakes and now realized her worth. However, Nengi firmly rejected him, telling him to leave her life for good. She explained that his betrayal had broken her, but in hindsight, it was a blessing that helped her grow stronger. Despite his pleas, Nengi stood her ground and pushed him out. Later, while sitting in her living room, Nengi received her appointment letter, confirming she had secured a job. Overjoyed, she wanted to call Kunle to share the news. When she heard a knock, she assumed it was him and ran to open the door, only to find Collins begging once again. Furious, she told him she couldn't allow him to ruin her life anymore. She shut the door on him, crying afterward. Moments later, there was another knock. Thinking it was Collins again, Nengi grabbed a statue to defend herself, but was relieved to find it was Kunle. Surprised, Kunle asked what was going on. Nengi excitedly shared the news about her new job, thanking him for being a blessing in her life. Before leaving, Kunle handed her a letter. After he left, Nengi opened it and discovered it was a love letter. By this point, her feelings for Kunle had already grown. Some relationships are truly meant to be. This story is a testament to the challenges and temptations in relationships. Staying true and loyal despite trials is what makes a strong bond. It's a reminder not to let temporary pleasures or external influences derail a meaningful relationship. What a beautiful movie. Don't forget to check it out. Please subscribe to their amazing channel and stay tuned for more captivating, interesting, and educative Nigerian movies. See you next time.